The next episode in Season 3 I want to talk about is Episode 9, The Beast Within. In this episode, Beast Boy gets some chemicals on him and becomes emotionally erratic and starts being rude to and even threatening his friends. Eventually, he transforms into a werewolf, and the team is worried that Beast Boy has seriously hurt Raven. This episode immediately does a good job of establishing its key elements. Beast Boy gets a little frustrated with Raven, Adonis has a really creepy interest in Raven, and Beast Boy gets really ticked off and becomes more wild and animalistic in his behaviors. Although his later outbursts and strange attitude in the episode are attributed in some part to these chemicals, the idea here is that this anger is still within Beast Boy, though it doesn't usually come out this way. Ultimately though, I see this exploration of his character as a more minor part of this episode. After all, it's not like Beast Boy has ever come close to acting this arrogant before, so this is mostly a new problem caused by something external. This isn't some sort of inner conflict we've watched him go through as the show's gone on. It's something different, done to let this interesting plot take place and to show how close Raven and Beast Boy really are, despite their differences. Even when Beast Boy has been affected like this, he still wants to protect Raven, and he still cares for her, as it's revealed that he's really protecting Raven from Adonis, who's also turned into a werewolf-type creature. And that's where the fun and intrigue of this episode comes from. None of the characters know if Beast Boy has hurt Raven after she disappears, and we don't either. And while it's obvious to pretty much any viewer that she isn't dead, it's by no means out of the question that she may have been harmed by Beast Boy. Overall, this episode is really a short mystery, exploring what happened between Beast Boy and Raven in a sort of horror film manner, with the episode's tense, tight directing, dissonant, mysterious soundtrack, and dreary lighting and locales. There's also this nice moment between Raven and Beast Boy. While I wasn't a fan of a somewhat similar moment in Season 1 between Raven and Cyborg, I feel that this scene was much more in line with her character. She really says very little to Beast Boy, but what she says is reassuring and intelligent. I'm seeing more of what people were talking about though, when they said it was an integral aspect of her character. I really enjoy Beast Boy's and Raven's brother-sister dynamic that's becoming more and more evident as the series continues. What a fun episode. I don't have much to say about the next two episodes though, as both are overall comedic episodes that don't explore any themes in a particularly deep manner. But nothing contradictory happens, and the focus of these episodes aren't on themes. The first of these episodes involves Starfire taking care of Silky, a creature that Beast Boy previously brought in after they fought Killer Moth. She tries to hide Silky from Robin, Raven, and Cyborg, but they end up finding him and make her give him away. It's nice to see this side of Starfire, to see how much she cares for this creature. It's also good to see her placed in a situation where she needs to say goodbye to her pet. Moments like those do add some more depth to her character, though she's by no means a bad character without these moments. As some pointed out in the comments section of the previous episode, she does have depth that's explored throughout her episodes, that has a lot to do with how she emotionally matures, but I'll be discussing that more later. The second episode is another one with Mumbo, but this time the Titans get trapped in Mumbo's hat and transform into animals. There's a musical theater type song, some entertaining animation, and it's just an overall fun time. I enjoy how different of an episode it is, and I was consistently entertained, but again, there isn't much to say about the episode. It's pretty good. Part of what makes them fun, despite there not being much to talk about, is how much more creative this season has been in terms of direction and transitions. Now, that's not to say that the previous seasons are poorly done. In particular, Season 2 is really good in that regard. But there are a lot more creative transitions, changes in animation styles, and interesting shot compositions than I recall seeing in the previous seasons. All in all, the direction just stands out to me. So even if I don't have much to say about these episodes, that doesn't mean that they're bad. It just means that there's less going on a thematic level for me to really dig into, and that I think you can get most of what you're going to get out of these episodes just by watching them. Another thing to note is actually in regards to something I haven't talked about before in regards to Season 3, but that I mentioned in the previous seasons. I haven't even complained once about the episodic episodes breaking up the flow of the main arc of this season, but there's a reason for that. I don't care about the main arc. Or maybe that's the wrong way to phrase it. I don't think it's good. In fact, I think it's very poor. That's why I saved it till the end here. I want to go through it all at once and really dig into why it bothered me so much. Now, before diving into the individual episodes, it's important to consider what this arc overall is trying to show us about Cyborg. While I at first thought that it would focus on his feelings about being part robot, I was surprised to see that it doesn't, which is by no means a bad thing. Instead, we focus on another part of his personality, his want to be a leader, to do the most he can, the best he can. This is first explored through Cyborg's time in Hive Academy. Oddly enough though, this episode does spend more time focusing on Cyborg's feelings about his robotic parts, and simply starts introducing the idea that Cyborg might want to act on his own or prove himself through his own work. After all, he gets closer to looking completely human than he ever has before in this series, and Brother Blood offers him the opportunity to get even closer to that. In some ways, I like this. We learn more about a conflict within Cyborg that we've already seen a lot of, and come to learn that he won't betray his friends or his own ideals to get closer to removing his robotic parts. But we also get to see a bit more of how he starts to work on his own, to do things his own way, and of how Robin wants to check up on him a lot of the time to make sure everything's going alright. It also establishes that Brother Blood's mind control abilities don't work on Cyborg, which is going to be integral to later parts of the arc. Overall, I have no complaints about this episode in and of itself. In the second episode of this, which is also episode 8 of season 3, the cracks in this arc start to show. Here, Brother Blood has stolen Cyborg's technology and is using it to try and destroy their city, and the team has to go and stop him. Cyborg is particularly upset by this and starts questioning orders a lot and just generally tries to work on his own more, though in the end he does accept other people's help and realizes that he needs to work together with others to defeat Brother Blood. However, we still see a lot of him clashing with Robin, as Robin continually takes the lead when Cyborg is trying to. All of this stuff is fine so far, but I do have a problem. Brother Blood. I find him so bland and boring. While I also felt we didn't know enough about Slade's motivations in the first and second seasons, he was at least intimidating. In other words, he had some level of interest to him, and felt like a genuine threat. His voice was chilling, the way he moved around was daunting, and the fact that he could take on the Titans without any powers of his own by getting into their heads lent him a certain unpredictability. With Brother Blood, some of the problems with Slade carry over. He seems to just be your typical villain that wants to destroy stuff and to help teach others to be destructive. He doesn't have any ideology deeper than that, at least not that we see. Thus, we don't know much about him, and I think knowing more would have gone a long way in making his and Cyborg's interactions more interesting. On top of that, he's simply not intimidating, even though he should be. I mean, the ability to control people's minds and his sheer level of craziness should make him feel like a threat. But due to his overall design and voice, I just never took him very seriously. I found his voice in particular to seem more comedic than anything, especially when he yelled. Then there's the more important part. His mind control doesn't always work. After all, Bumblebee manages to withstand his mind control just because
there's not a man alive who can tell me what to do.
The jokes practically write themselves here.
I am my own person. I am a strong black woman.
But this also leads to a bigger problem overall. If there are just some people who he can't mind control for some reason, it means that this mind control is a plot device that can be changed whenever the plot demands it. And that means that he's way less threatening. It's lazy writing to give a villain an ability that random people can just get past because of the power of will. Also, why can't he mind control her now, but he can mind control her later? What's going on there? Does he use stronger mind control in her later than he did now? I don't know. It simply seems like, for the sake of the plot, she needed to be mind controlled later, but they also wanted her to be free now. This really bothered me and took me out of the final episode of this conflict, but let's focus on episode 12 before we move on to that more. In episode 12, Cyborg goes somewhere to help a new group of Titans establish themselves. However, when they encounter Brother Blood, things become a bit more complex and dangerous than they may have expected. The first problem with this episode is how lazily it introduces us to its concept, with Beast Boy repeating information to Cyborg that he already knows in a way that is obviously just to get the audience to understand what's going on. However, it is good to start with the other Titans talking about how much they miss Cyborg, since Cyborg is going to reject them later in the episode. It makes the moment when he says he's not coming back hit harder than it otherwise would, and gives the episode a fairly strong structure. I also like that this episode brings back a few characters we've seen before, as well as Mas e Minos. I have no idea if I said that right. It's intelligent to have us know who so many of them are already, since it'd be really hard to introduce all of them in a single episode. It's also a lot more entertaining to see him bring together other characters we've already seen separately than it would be to see him bring together a whole bunch of characters we've never seen before. On top of this, there are little moments where Cyborg talks about being able to do things Robin wouldn't let him, and getting to see him as such a competent leader somewhat validates his position that he should have more of a leadership role, though it is of course understandable that the regular Titans don't need two leaders. But the big problems here come in the end, when it's revealed that Brother Blood has mind-controlled all these other characters in his attack on the base. If he controlled them all here already, and Cyborg is in a weakened state, then why doesn't he just get them to take Cyborg away? Why does he let them keep going around for a little bit before swooping in, which only gives the heroes a chance to fight back? It seems like he's really focused on figuring out why Cyborg can fight his mind control, so why not move him to a different location and figure that out first? If he did this properly, it's not like the Titans would be able to find him right away. These sorts of problems continue in the next episode too. Why does he let the Titans stay in this room together, secluded from everyone else? Why not move them away from each other? And while it's a neat idea to have Brother Blood take Cyborg's technology and use it on himself and other people, these upgrades bring up some questions. Like, what are Brother Blood's new abilities now? I guess he can teleport for some reason, but I don't recall Cyborg being able to do that. So did Brother Blood do something else to himself too? I know I'm asking a lot of questions here, and depending on your stance, you might say that I'm asking too much. Maybe I should just let the show go where it's going to go. But this all speaks to a larger problem. Things are going too fast. We aren't properly exploring each of these ideas, and some of them are conceptually interesting enough that we should explore them. For example, I want to see more of Cyborg being afraid that other people will be made to look and feel like him, but we don't have time for that, so this episode pushes forward with a whole lot of gaps in logic. It's good though that we see Cyborg take on a more leaderly role, even if for a bit. However, the show doesn't do a good job with that because, well, Cyborg doesn't succeed as a leader, but the show still sets it up to seem like he did. What I mean is that Cyborg should lose. His plan ends up leading him into a fight with Brother Blood, and Brother Blood absolutely destroys him. When I had to pause this episode at this point and saw that about 3.5 minutes were left, I went, how the heck is he going to get out of this? The answer? Bad writing. It's not actually that Cyborg's robotic parts let him defy Brother Blood, it's just something to do with Cyborg's spirit, which I don't like in the first place because it would be nice to emphasize how Cyborg's robotic parts give him an advantage in the world as well as disadvantages. But that's not the biggest problem here. The biggest problem is that his spirit suddenly allows him to remotely deconstruct other robots and reconstruct his own body? What? This conflict only lands if Cyborg does something in a leadership role that allows the Titans to succeed. Instead, we get some tired thing about his willpower, and he's basically able to defeat the villain just because he wants to bad enough. It undermines so much of this arc, and honestly completely ruined it for me. Some people say the journey matters, not the destination, but I think the destination should at least be thematically sound with the journey. It's like the writers knew this was bad. Beast Boy even asked Cyborg if it's like magic now, and Cyborg just says that it was a one-time deal. And that he hacked into Brother Blood's brain? So did Brother Blood have some sort of telekinetic powers that he unlocked? I don't know. I'm confused. And annoyed. This annoyance does come from a place of love though, because I'm really enjoying this show more now. I'm seeing a lot of what it has to offer. It's been improving in so many ways, and it's such a shame to see it stumble like this. All of this is to say that, despite the fact that this season had one amazing standalone episode and some other ones that were good, this season had some serious problems, particularly with Cyborg's arc. It's a shame that it was so mishandled. In fact, I think as a whole that this season is worse than Season 1, and it's definitely worse than Season 2. But you know what the good thing is? Season 4 is next, and I'm really excited to talk about that. As always, thank you for watching this series. I've said it before, but your support still means so much to me. Also, you people over on Patreon, you're the best. Thanks for being awesome. On top of that, I want to say thank you to Chords Boy for letting me use their music in both this part and the last part. They're doing awesome work, and I've linked to their channel in the description. Check out their great stuff. I look forward to hearing from you in the comments. Have a good one.